Hi, today is February 26, 2023, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 338 for the year, The Ugliest Belt I've Ever Seen. My daughter said, "Do you want to see a picture of the ugliest belt I've ever seen?" And I said, "Of course I do." So she showed me the picture, and I had to admit it was an ugly belt. "Send me that picture," I said. "I have an important poem to write about it." So she sent it, and here we are. Was it the ugliest belt I've ever seen? I'm not sure. I've seen some very ugly belts in my day. I've seen some belts that would make you plotz. So maybe that belt she sent me a picture of last night is not the ugliest belt I've ever seen. But the ugliest belt I've ever seen is a better title than the ugliest belt she had ever seen. So here we are, and we are all together like pigs from a gun, like shit through a goose, deep inside this important poem. Poem number 339, Window Water a Baby Moving. I watched Window Water a Baby Moving in college, and at the time I thought it was the ugliest Dan Brakhage film that I had ever seen. I'm kidding, but I didn't like it. It seemed to lack many of the elements that I had come to think of as Brakhagian, unlike many of my favorite Stan Brakhage films. Window Water Baby Moving was shot mostly by Stan, of his wife as she was giving birth, but some by Jane, of her husband Stan, as she was giving birth. And when I was in my 20s, I strongly preferred the Brakhage films that were painted or scratched or had shit on them, had shit stuck on them. Basically, I preferred the Brakhage films that either had no picture in them, which is most of his films, or where the images of the people were obscured, like Dog Star Man, which features Brakhage himself, the Dante Quartet, which includes bits of Billy Wilder's Irma la Douce, and I Myth, see next poem. When I first saw Window Water Baby Moving, I thought it was so dull that over the years I'd come to believe that it was at least an hour long, which would be extremely long for a Brakhage film. So when I queued it up last night, I was surprised to see that it was under 15 minutes, and when I watched it, it reminded me of a film I had shot of the birth of my daughter by cesarean section. The plan was for a water birth, which was what Window Water Baby Moving shows, but things didn't go as planned. I've only watched the film of the birth of my daughter twice, and it was many years ago. But last week when I rewatched Window Water Baby Moving, and 2 days ago when I rewatched it, it was a completely different movie, almost too short and hopelessly beautiful, which just goes to show that what you bring to a film changes the film. Poem number 340, I Myth. You blink and you'll miss it. At 9 seconds, it is the shortest film I've ever seen. I've seen it many times in the past week, but it occurred to me that it would take a couple of hours for me to see I Myth as many times as I have seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And here's a fun fact. I've never seen I Myth intoxicated, and I've never seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show sober. I love the mysterious man who seems to spring up out of I Myth. I love that it took Brakhage a year to create I Myth. I love I Myth so goddamn much. Goddamn. Poem number 341, The Kuleshov Effect. As I wrote, what we bring to a film changes the film 2 poems ago, I thought of Kuleshov, who brought film to film and developed the theory of montage. If you don't know the story, he took a shot of a bowl of soup and followed it with a shot of Ivan Mosjukin with no expression on his face. Mosjukin was a famous Russian actor at that time, around 1918. So when people watched the film, they saw the great actor and they were like, look how he conveys hunger. The next shot was of a girl in a casket, followed by the exact same shot of Mosjukin. And people were like, oh, look, he's mourning her. The next shot was of a woman lying on a divan, followed by the same shot of Mosjukin. And people were like, oh, you can tell he really wants her. What great acting. But it also shows, so the point was to show how meaning is created through the juxtaposition of shots. But it also shows that what the viewer brings also creates meaning. the audience knew Moshkin was as a great actor, so they believed that what they were watching was great acting, kind of like an insistence of knowledge. We think we know what we are seeing, or like the persistence of vision. We think we see motion, but all we see is one picture after another, over and over, fast enough so that it looks like movies. The way movies work, it has to do with who we are when we watch them. The juxtaposition of the film and us is how we create our own internal Kuleshov effect. Poem number 342, Stellar. Poem number 305, Unknown Brackage, feels like it was written 100 years ago, but it was less than a week ago. I wrote about how it bothered me that I had watched several Brackage films the night before, but that I couldn't remember what one of them was. The day before yesterday, I rewatched Stellar, and I was like, that's what it was. It was stellar. The mesmerizing beauty of that film returned to me this morning when I woke up with a cramp in an upper calf muscle. I sat up and closed my eyes and saw beautiful dark blue dots on a black background, maybe 20 of them. They were sort of like stars, but they were too close together to be stars. Seeing those dots made me smile and reminded me of Stellar. And along with the sitting up, I believe the dots I saw caused the cramp to dissipate more quickly than it otherwise would have, because the dots reminded me of Stellar and made me happy. So I rewatched Stellar again this morning, and really, there was nothing in Stellar that looked like the dots I saw. But clearly, Stellar helped me. Film helps to heal me a lot. Poem number 343, Calf, Dots, Ukulele, Ovular. A cramp in the calf made me think of the Brackage film Thigh, Line, Liar, Triangular, which made me think of calf, dots, ukulele, ovular. Calf because I had a cramp in my calf, not my thigh. Dots because I saw dots, not a line. Ukulele because I know how to play a ukulele and I don't know how to play a lyre. And ovular because I know the adjectival form of the word oval and I don't know the adjectival form of the word square or pentagram. And the last poem of the day, thank goodness, I'm messing up right and left here. Poem number 334. Thigh, line, lyre, triangular. So because of my silly calf, dots, ukulele, ovular thing, I decided to rewatch Thigh, line, lyre, triangular this morning too. The film depicts the birth of Jane and Stan Brackage's third child, Neowen, whereas Window, Water, Baby Moving, which was made earlier, concerned the birth of an earlier child. The general consensus is that Thigh, Line, Lyre, Triangular is somehow lacking compared to the earlier birth film, but I don't know if I agree with the general consensus. Window, Water, Baby Moving is naked and stark and bold and graphic, and I love that. But Thigh, Line, Lyre, Triangular has paint on the film and scratches on the film, and I love that too. I can't remember whether I saw this one in college, but if I did, I'm sure I would have liked it much better than Window, Water, Baby Moving. But as I say, now I am not so sure. All right, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I'll try to do better tomorrow.